California's housing market is shifting and San Diego is right in the middle of that. There is more inventory coming onto the market. It's taking a bit longer to sell and the buyers are having a bit more negotiating power. But what does that all mean for San Diego home prices and for buyers and sellers out there? That's what we are going to dive into today. And I know we've been making these videos over the past few weeks about the changing market and what's exactly going on. But with all that being said, whether you guys are looking to buy or sell a house, take a look outside. I was just looking outside today. It's mid-June. June gloom burned off. It's a gorgeous day. We still live in San Diego, so get outside and enjoy all that. But let's dive into the San Diego real estate market and let you know what's going on. So let's start off on the big picture. This is the active US housing inventory according to Realtor.com. This is across the entire nation. We're gonna go bird's eye view, then we're gonna dive into California and then specifically San Diego to see if all the trends are the same. Right now, you can see home inventory is rising. We've surpassed all of these recent years over here from 2020 all the way through last year. And active listings compared to last year of 2024, which is this dot down here, we're over 31% above that and continuing to rise. Usually we'll see this go up for the next few months. Now, we always refer to like 2017, 18, and 19 pre-pandemic years. That's when it was a little bit more of a normalized market. But obviously things have shifted over the past few years and we're starting to head back to one of those more normalized markets where we're not in a heavy buyer's market, we're not in a heavy seller's market, which we have been over these past few years. We're getting into a little bit more balanced market. Now, when we dive in state by state, the picture does change a little bit. You can see California over here is one of the highest 1 year change compared from May 2024 to May 2025. And jumping into California, May 2025, inventory levels are sitting about 73,000. A huge jump from May of 2024 and definitely bigger than all of these years all the way till 2020. Even back to that more normalized year where we had 68,000 and 66,000 in 2017 and 2018. The peak year, which they're comparing it to on the next chart, is just over 79,000. We're almost back to that mark. Now here's active housing inventory compared to pre-pandemic levels. So May 2019 through May 2025. They're comparing where we were there, 2019, where are we at now? California as a whole is actually only 8% down. So that was that 73,000 comparing it to the 79,000. But if we compared it to any of the years just prior to that, you can see it is just above that number. So inventory here in California is getting a little bit more towards a more normalized market where you're not seeing as many bidding wars. You're seeing homes sit longer than that first weekend or two, and you are seeing a lot less buyer competition out there. But where do we stand right here in San Diego? Right now, we're looking at the weekly housing data, active listings, which is the number of homes on the market, which is inventory, which we just mentioned at the beginning. And compared to where we were last year, right now we are almost 27% above last year. Last year, we were sitting right around here, about 4,700 homes. Now we're sitting over 6,000 homes. Even last week, where we went up a little bit, we're even higher than that. So above the peak of 2022 and above where we peaked in 2024, which is a different style peak where we saw it towards the end of the year. Usually we'll see this kind of come up and then go through the summer and then start peaking down. This one was just a pretty late one right here in 2024. Now we did see this little tick down. So the active inventory is down a little bit. Is there new listings coming on still? Absolutely. But you can see there was a little bit less new listings this week compared to the last few weeks. So that kind of added to it, plus potentially a few other homes coming off the market. And now we're specifically looking at active listings here in San Diego. And this is the most recent numbers came out in May 2025. We're a few weeks into June right now, but the number of active listings as of May was 6,358. We're a little bit above the peak of 2024, 6,340. So, and that didn't peak out till September. Like I said, we had a little bit later peak, but all of the previous years, these peaks were under 4,000. We were a little bit higher in July of 2022, so we haven't surpassed that yet. Part of the reason here is there was definitely a lot of buyers out there, but this is the time when interest rates were rising very rapidly. And buyers decided to sit it out a little bit. A lot of home sellers decided, hey, we're seeing what's happening in home prices. Let's put our home on the market. Let's get top dollar. And it did have a steady buildup of inventory, but dropped down quickly towards the end of the year. Kind of got much lower in 2023. Peak out here in July, and then back in 2020 over 7,000. Once we bring this out a little bit further even, you can see we're still much lower than pre-pandemic times as far as active listings go. Right here in May 2025, we're just over that 6,300 mark. Let's go back to 2019, where we did have a little bit more normalized year, but we were at 10,262 homes on the market. So even though inventory is rising and we're at some of the peaks that we have seen in prior years, we're still nowhere where we had been from 2013 through 2019. So we're still not at those levels, where definitely during 2018, it was much more of a buyer's market. As you saw a big spike here in the number of active listings, but generally as a whole, there was more listings on during this time, and the buyer demand, even if it was the same, there was still more choices out there because of the number of listings on the market. So are homes taking longer to sell? In general, yes. Some homes are still selling pretty quick in that first weekend. Some homes are sitting a bit longer. Some are having price reductions and still sitting on the market. Just being out there in the field with buyers and sellers right now, it's really coming down to specific areas, specific situations, specific pricing, that we're seeing different things happen. All in all, as a total, yes, the market is a little bit slower. Even buyers we're working with right now, let's say last weekend, we went to see some homes with some clients. Now, in years past, it was like, let's go check it out. Let's say it was on a Friday or Saturday. Offers were gonna be due by Sunday or Monday, maybe Tuesday. But right now, they've seen the home, they're sitting, they're kind of figuring out their finances, they're getting everything dialed in right now, making sure all their numbers work out, and potentially we're writing an offer today. So just a little bit more time that buyers are seeing. You're not really having to have these snap decisions where let's go see the house, let's get in, let's write an offer. It's a little bit more mellow than that. But looking at the median days on market, you can tell that it is up, not a ton. This is about 21 days on the market. We are up 6.5 days from last year. So 2024 is about 14 days. But look, some of these times back here, when the median days on market, like in 2022, was 8 days. That was definitely a different market than we're seeing right now. Even though it is 21 days, some homes are, like I said, selling that first weekend. Some are selling in the first 2 weeks, and some are sitting, 30 to 60 days. It's really dependent on the specific homes and the specific areas you're looking in. And so if you guys want to dive in more on those specific areas and your specific situation, feel free to reach out. I'm Chris Erickson. We got a real estate crew right here in San Diego, and we would love to earn your business. So call, text, or email, because we got your back when making the move here in San Diego. Now looking at the last 5 years right here, the median sales price. Where are we going right now? Are we seeing any change? And over these last 3 months, not really. The median sales price, March, April, May, was actually exactly the same. Now, December, you'll usually see it a little lower. It's a little slower times, and peaking up sometime in June. But last year, you saw a run up to June. The year before, you saw a run up to August. The year before, you saw a run up to April and May, so a little bit earlier peak in that 2022 timeframe. But right now, we're just literally tracking sideways. So not going up, not going down. We're just in a holding pattern right now in the San Diego real estate market. So we've seen the median price be flat for this past few months here in San Diego. Will that continue? Well, that's what we're gonna dive into. What's gonna happen over the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. I am subscribed to a newsletter from a local real estate investor. So he has a lot of data. He's always studying the market just like we are, but this is his opinion on what's gonna happen during that time frame. So let's check it out. So how's Brian feeling this week about the San Diego real estate market, the May update? San Diego real estate has been waiting for the shoe to drop for a while now, whether that's mortgage rates to come down or prices to come down. Like he's saying, there's a lot of people, a lot of buyers out there who are potentially on the sidelines waiting until they do see a movement in one of those two factors. It feels like we're on the precipice now. Either rates come down meaningfully or prices will. These predictions assume rates stay between 6.5% and 7.5%, which is where we are right now. Because if they go outside that range, if you see them jump up into the 8% or down to the 6%. Two totally different things could happen to the market here in San Diego. But let's just focus on staying within that range. So the 3-month outlook going to August 2025, saying it's the same as last month. Trend lines will start pointing lower by June, meaning home prices, and continue forward from there through the end of the year at least. 6-month outlook, November 2025, the summer lull hits hard with higher inventory as we're going over these next few months. Right now, we're kind of in the high buying season right here in San Diego, even though pending sales are a bit down. You're going to see marketing time is increasing, which we are seeing a little bit right now. Values are down 3 to 5% from 2025 high. And he thought April was going to be that high, but he was wrong. He's saying May will be, though. The 12-month outlook of the 3 timelines he predicts for this, for obvious reasons, this one's the hardest, it's the furthest out. But assuming rates are still 6.5 to 7.5, he expects home prices to be down 4 to 6% by next year. So what does this all mean for buyers and sellers out there in the San Diego real estate market? Buyers, you're going to expect less competition out there. You're going to get a little bit more breathing room and potentially some more negotiating power when you are writing offers. And for sellers, you're likely going to experience longer market times, a little bit less as far as people come in to do showings, as far as open houses. Even last weekend, we had an open house, and it was fairly slow compared to where we had seen 2 or 3 years ago. So it's definitely changed on that front, and prices are softening a little bit, but it really comes down to every specific situation. Like I mentioned, some homes are selling that first weekend, some are selling for over ask. It's really dependent on your pricing strategy, your preparation, and everything else to get that property ready for the market. But if you guys are thinking about making a move and potentially buying, maybe it's next week, maybe it's next month, maybe it's next year, you got to go check out our free relocation guide. Get that downloaded, give you all the intel you need to know. Even if you are a seller, but you're potentially buying after that, get that downloaded. Give you some good insight into the whole process from pre-approval, all the terms, what everything means, and everything you need to know about the entire buying process. So get that downloaded and hit us up if you have any questions.